kind of random.
What up, y'all? I am your host, Vegas, and this is another Hip Hop Now podcast bonus episode brought to you by the producers of this podcast over at patreon.com/hiphopnow. And if you are wondering what is that all about, it's about supporting this podcast so it can grow to do bigger and better things. The link is in the description of this episode. Click on it. So, let's get right into it. We are living in an age, if you're from the future, you need to get your ass out of here. I'm just going to say that off the bat because you already know what's happening. But we are living in an age where I think EPs may overtake full-blown albums. Now, the weird part about it is that not everything's an EP that's really an EP. Not everything is an album. I'll explain. Lately, we've had a number of artists, hip-hop artists, release what you would consider to be EPs, right? 5 songs, 6 songs. But I've even seen some that are probably like 10 or 11. Now, the only reason why I would call an album, a project, an EP that has 10 songs is because the one thing that's typically similar in these two projects, right, is the time. Most of these projects are a half an hour, if not slightly less. A half an hour of your time for a new project. And a number of them have been released. Benny the Butcher releases mostly EPs, and then he'll give you an album like at the end of the year. It's kind of what he does. Conway the Machine, right? Gives you a couple of EPs, give you albums, all kinds of stuff, right? Ransom put out in 2020, he put out a good maybe 5 EPs. Then in 2021, he dropped another EP. And then he put out an album. On and on and on. Flea Lord and Rock Marcy put out what you would think is an album, right? I think it's like 10 songs called Delgado. But it's really only like a half an hour. So, is this a good thing? Are you more inclined to want an album from your favorite hip-hop artist? Or are you more into the fact that you get more releases because they're giving you EPs, right? If I launched 3 EPs this year and in December I give you an album, you might be happy with that. This is the thing. It's kind of 2 things, right? There's the hype for these projects, right? You have a hip hop artist you love or a group that you love, and you love their last project, whether that be an album or EP, but you gotta wait to get some new music. And lo and behold, a month later, 2 months, maybe 3 months later, they're announcing they got a new project coming. And it's also an EP. So you're hyped again because you love the last joint. And it happens again and again and again. And eventually you get a full-blown album. I gotta tell y'all, I think I like this method more than anything. Nothing is more cringeworthy to me and more of a sign that I am not going to listen to all of it all the time is an artist dropping an album and I see 20-something tracks. I'm already like, ugh. Because it feels like homework. Even if I like it, I think I have been trained to accept shorter projects more than full-length albums. Busta Rhymes' last album, ELE2, Extinction Level Event 2, was really dope. And it was packed with dope record after dope record. Like, he delivered on his promise. But then, a month later, he dropped a deluxe version that added like 6 or 7 songs. And it was already 20-some songs on the first one. And I haven't listened to the album since. It's been, what, maybe less than a year? For an album I really liked. Top of the year of 2020 at least. But you tell me, like, the Plugs I Met by Benny the Butcher, right? Any one of those Ransom EPs. The EPs I go back to because it's giving me something dope in a shorter amount of time, which, and this is the key, makes it better for me listening to other projects, whether those other projects be from them or other artists. Because let's be clear, hip hop is so oversaturated with music at this point that there are a lot of projects that just go under the radar. A lot of albums that get slept on. A lot that people aren't checking for because there's so much coming out. You just got to decide, like, what do I really want to listen to? What I really want to pay for? And it happens probably on a monthly basis. Half the time I don't even know, like, it's like every Friday. I'm not even lying to y'all. Every Friday I go and just try to search to see what came out that I didn't know was coming out. Typically I know, like, this is the Friday where, you know, West Side Gun is releasing his joint. All right, this is the Friday where, you know, they said Donda's coming out. It's never coming out. But, you know, you get what I'm saying, right? It's always this anticipation for the big release. Or if you dig deeper and you search around, you realize, like, well, damn, I like Flea Lord. I didn't know he put out an album with him and Rock Marcy doing the production. Alchemist did this many albums with this cat over here, and you can't keep up. And then if they're all like 20 songs, then you really like deciding on what you want to listen to. Because the thing is if you like it, you're going to not listen to it once. You're going to listen to it again and again and again and again, right? Again and again and again. Shout out to Papa Wu. Rest in peace. But seriously, when you have your favorite artist dropping and you know the listen is only going to be like a half hour, you can listen to that. You probably would listen to an EP more than you would listen to an album because it's tricky, right? Like, it takes less time, right? You listen to this new, who has a new project? I can't remember, but any EP, right? You listen to this new EP, it's only half an hour, you really like it, so you run it back, right? Now you've already listened to it for an hour, but you already know you like the songs and you already know it's a short listen, but you've given them an hour. But if you're listening to an album that is an hour plus, and you get to the end and you like it, now you have to decide if you want to press play again and spend another hour. Chances are you won't, right? Because then that's 2 hours. But if you really like something, you want to run it back and it's an EP is only half an hour, 25 minutes, you might listen to that joint 3 times. And then you throw on another EP. Like, there's just more music from more artists you can fit into your rotation when it's an EP. Now, I'm not by no means saying that we should have a standard of EPs, because I kind of feel like not every artist is pumping out that much music. Not every artist can give you several EPs that are potent, because some EPs get forgotten, right? Black Thought gave you 3. There was a time where we didn't even think we would ever get a Black Thought solo album ever. And we got 3 EPs. But how many people go back and listen to them, right? But I think today, because it's more common, I think a lot of people would. I mean, I have. But again, when I've seen some of these recent albums release and or EPs release, and it's good, it's a no-brainer for me to be like, yo, this is in my rotation. This is dope. And trust me, back in the 90s, this would have been way too little. And let me say this before I go. Back in the 90s, if there was one thing that people held against Illmatic, was the fact that it was too short. And it was 10 songs, right? I think it came in at around an hour, if not a little bit under an hour, but never was it wasn't a half an hour, 25 minutes. But people said, yo, I love it, but it's too short. Now that's all we get. And I'm kind of loving it. That's going to do it for me on this episode. You can follow me on social media. That be TikTok, Clubhouse, Instagram, or Twitter at Vegas World INC. And please know, you can subscribe to this podcast and get more episodes like this one and a weekly news podcast called Hip Hop Now Podcast by clicking the link in the description and hitting that subscribe button. Until next time, y'all, I am not a critic. I'm a fan. Peace.
Drop it on the random.